everyone, and welcome back to another episode of It's Okay and Not to Be Okay. Um, for today's topic, I feel like, especially going into the holidays, it's a tougher time for some people. I feel like this topic is good to talk about right now. Um, it's a topic that's getting a lot of attention in mental health, and it's being talked about a lot. We spend so much time focusing on, others, work, family, friends, especially during the holiday season. Um, but how often do we check in with ourselves? So today's topic would be about, your relationship with yourself, and trying to understand it a little bit better. And I have Dr. Buxani helping us today to figure out, understand it a little bit more, help us out with it more, answer any questions that we might have, which I feel like, everybody has, how to understand ourselves better. Um, so yeah, hi.
Therapy. You know, oftentimes that I'll have those clients who come to me who will ask me about because they've never been to therapy, and they'll ask me what is therapy about, and I always tell them it's a journey into yourself. Right? This is a place that you're really going to understand yourself, why you do certain things, why you feel certain things, why certain things trigger you, and most importantly, learn to love and accept yourself. So I think therapy is beautiful.
Yeah. And hopefully, I agree. Hopefully our listeners agree. I definitely do think it's like a not a harder topic, but a more, difficult one to actually put into play. You can understand it, but do you really understand like how it goes within yourself and this whole thing? So hopefully, yeah, hopefully this is a helpful podcast for it.
Absolutely. Yes. Let's start scratching the surface of purple beast that is me.
Perfect. I mean, obviously to start off very, simple and just to explain what it is, um, what exactly do you think it means when we say like relationship with yourself?
I think relationship with yourself is really the ultimate is understanding and acceptance of self, right? So but to be able to, yes, accept yourself, have compassion for yourself, treat yourself in a way that you treat others, right? Because a lot of times we are so critical about ourselves. There's so much like negative self-talk that we indulge in. We're so hard on ourselves, and we give that grace to other people. So I think that relationship to self is, begins obviously with an understanding of who I am, why, what my values are, why is something important to me, uh, and then being true to yourself, right? So if something is important to me, can I be comfortable enough to live by that? You see, so that's kind of, to me, that's what a relationship to self is.
Right. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Um, in that sense, why do you think it's so important to have like a relationship with yourself?
To avoid mental illnesses. In short.
Simple terms.
So here's the thing. I have always felt that, my values and my life, they have to be in sync, right?
Right.
Now, but to know my values, I have to know me. So, because we all have values, and your values might have been influenced by maybe your upbringing, so things that you saw in your parents or your environment, or just who you are as a person, right? Because we're born with a certain temperament. So, but everybody has those very strong values that are important to them. Now, if my values and my life are not in sync, that distance to me is what mental health is, right? So that's where your anxiety comes from. When I'm not living my authentic life, when I'm not being true to who I am, that's where that anxiety, depression, so many of the mood disorders are linked to that. So why do I need to have that relationship to myself? Really, to be healthy, to be, able to live a life that isn't ridden with, anxiety or sadness or depression, feeling a little more satisfied and fulfilled with life comes from really being true to who I am.
Right. Which, yeah, it absolutely makes sense. I mean, what, like you said in the beginning, simple terms, it's to avoid mental illness. Obviously, avoiding your own feelings, your own way of thinking, it's just never going to lead you down to.
Correct. And, think about people who, maybe they're in work situations where it goes completely against their value systems, or maybe they are in a relationship and they found themselves just doing everything that the person wants to do without really even taking a minute to figure out what they want. They're very unhappy, and and unhappy loosely, but then ultimately leads to things like chronic stress or depression, anxiety. So a lot of mental illnesses can result from me not being authentic and true to who I am. But to be able to be true to who I am, I need to first start understanding myself, and therein comes your answer for relationship to self.
Right. Um, and I feel like this is for majority of people, just because not everybody has that strong understanding. Luckily, like there are some people who are blessed to have that understanding of themselves, but there's a good amount of people who aren't, who don't understand themselves as well. Um, do you think there's maybe some common signs that someone's relationship with themselves needs improvement or needs some work on?
Yes. I think being mindful of the self talk, the critique, that we all have, and we all have that, and it serves as a purpose, right? Because sometimes it can help push us be better or do better. But I think being mindful of, oh my gosh, you're an idiot, or you're stupid, how can you do that? That sort of talk. Like constantly living a life where you're feeling guilt over doing anything for yourself. So if I take some time for myself, then I feel guilty about it. Now, moms are a very big, because they're always feeling guilty, right? But then to be able to develop your relationship to yourself enough to know that, okay, in addition to having my relationship with my kids, I need that relationship with myself. I need to award myself that compassion is extremely important. So if I'm doing or not doing things because of guilt, that might be a very strong indicator. People pleasing. If I'm always doing things just to keep people in my life okay, at my own expense, that's another very strong indicator. Saying no, and I'm going to steal this from Dr. Gabor Mate because I absolutely love him and his work that he's done. But, and he talks about how, in fact, it's an exercise that he does, and I do it with a lot of my clients. But it's, saying no to things that you want to say yes to, and then what is you saying yes to things that you want to say no to, right? And why? So, but again, if I am not saying no, I'm hurting myself, right? So because then I'm it's coming from a place of fear. It's not coming from a place of, oh, I really want to do this because this is who I am. I'm doing this because I have a fear of being abandoned, being alone, being unloved, or being like unworthy of someone's care or concern. Then those are signs that I need to be mindful of. And if that is the case, then I might want to work with a therapist, to figure out what's going on and where that's coming from.
Right. Yeah. And we also did a whole podcast episode on people pleasing. So maybe we can, if any listeners are having some trouble with it, they can find the people pleasers episode as well.
Yes.
But yeah, you can definitely see um those are very huge signs. I feel like people are able to catch with their eyes when someone's not as happy within themselves. And yeah, like it's very visible. It's very, okay, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. But in
And here's the other side: burnout.
true.
Right? Because if I'm constantly doing for everybody, and I'm really not taking that time for myself, then I'm going to burn out, very soon. So I think being mindful of what that burnout looks like, the feeling agitated, being extremely tired all the time, all those signs are also indicators that your relationship with yourself, or you're not awarding yourself that compassion.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, it seems like everything's linked at this point.
It feels
It seems as if everything just causes an upset. Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, in the sense of the common signs of not having a good relationship with yourself, how do you think would be do you like the best way to improve someone's relationship with themselves? Any advice, tips, any type of help? Yeah.
So I think let's start with first, if you don't have access to a therapist, right? Um, I think because the first step is to understand yourself, right? So uh, do a values exercise. There are loads available online, right? Because that's your first step to identifying what what is really important to me and why is it important to me. So I do a values exercise with my clients, but again, you don't need to do it with a therapist. You can do it yourself. So, identifying, okay, what is important to me and being mindful. And the reason I say why it's important is because I've had clients who've come and we do a values exercise. I tell them to identify like their 10 top values. And, I had a client who came to me and said, oh, family was her first one. So I said, okay, so it sounds like family is really important to you. I mean, that's your top value. And she said, shouldn't it be for everyone? And I said, no, there are no shoulds. I mean, for some, it doesn't even show up on the list, and that's completely fine. So I think, just being mindful of being true to when you are trying to identify your values and asking yourself those questions like, why is this important to me? Is this important to me because my mom said it should be important to me, or is this truly important to me? So that could be a very big step in trying to understand yourself. The next one is, the Gabor exercise that I mentioned, and I know that's available online too. But really, it's as basic as figuring out, okay, what are things that I say no to that I want to say yes to? Actually, let's leave that for the end. Sorry. So let's start first with what are the things that I say yes to that I want to say no to, and why? What is my fear? So again, these are exercises to be able to understand yourself that, okay, what what is my fear of me being, or me saying no to someone? Uh, what might happen, right? And then helping um, deal with those fears that you identify. Trying to talk to yourself more kindly. So those self-compassion, awarding yourself that self-compassion. And that's, it's a process. It takes time. It's not something that comes very naturally to most of us. But, trying to, so I do this pleasant activity thing with my clients. And it's a week-long thing. Every week. But I give them a little calendar for the week and I tell them, I need you to do one good thing for yourself every day. It can take 10 minutes. It can take 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. But one thing for yourself, just one small thing for yourself every day. So, what I generally do is I tell them to identify what they want to do for the week, and then we go back and check in to see what did you actually do. Because sometimes they write things, but they'll do something different. But really just giving yourself that I am important too. I love myself enough to give myself those 5 minutes. And it doesn't matter, 5 minutes, I'm going to shut the door, I'm going to listen to some music, or I'm going to go and take a bath, or I'm going to go take a 5-minute walk outside, or whatever it is. But something just for you. Doing that every day, awarding yourself that. These are some like concrete ways that you can start on that journey of understanding yourself and then building it up to loving yourself.
Right. That is a lot of information. I know it's a lot of information for for people to take in. But I do thank you so much for helping us understand, a little bit more. Um, it's sounds like a simple topic. It is so much more than that.
Yeah, very loaded. Very loaded. And that's why these concrete things, because sometimes we talk about, oh, talk to yourself this way, or it's like, yeah, if I could, I would. So, like, to me, I think giving people concrete tools, like, okay, go understand yourself a little bit more. You know, uh, Find out what your fears are. Those steps are so important in being able to love yourself.
Right. Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of people should be able, as they grow older, be able to like distinct that loving yourself and prioritizing yourself, isn't with a selfish intent to other people. It's not something that you should feel like you had mentioned, guilty about.
Yeah.
Um,
Remember, so what is the opposite of selfish?
Selfless.
Yes, right. Still has a self, right? Can't do. If you don't have a self, you always have to take care of yourself.
And I'm happy that we're able to get this message across, hopefully to like, all of our listeners. Um, and I do, again, I thank you for helping us understand and being able to place these more boundaries within ourselves to only, prioritize ourselves and our own growth, because at the end of the day, that's what it works towards, just growth.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Buxani. I think we're all set as of right now.
Perfect. And I'll see you soon.
I will
With
see you soon.
another one of these.
Thank you so much. Bye.